and welcome back to the NWA 1984 project. I'm your host, Alex G, and with me, as always, is Matt Riley. How you doing tonight, Matt?
I'm super.
All right, man. I dig it, man. I dig it. This episode will be another special event live from the Greensboro Coliseum. Main event of this show will be the Nature Boy, Ric Flair, and Dusty Rhodes taking on the Road Warriors. Holy shit. In addition, we have Bob Backlund taking on Ivan Koloff, so that's going to be a fantastic match. And we have Bruiser Brody taking on the Masked Assassin, Jody Hamilton. So that's going to be a really, really good show. A couple of things. I want to do some housekeeping stuff because we haven't done some housekeeping stuff in a while. Just to, give you our version of the State of the Union address.
Okay.
The State of the Channel address. Now, currently on the channel, we have a lot of things going on, a lot of new projects, which I'm really excited about. Recently, we had a gameplay video, a VPW2 ROM hack that had some modern wrestlers in it, and then it included a lot of the other wrestlers that wasn't available on Virtual Pro Wrestling too. So they brought in Austin, they brought in The Rock, Triple H, you have Daniel Bryan, AJ Styles, Samoa Joe. So, No Mercy and VPW2, they're slightly different, but they're kind of interchangeable in terms of the way people do ROM hacks for them, and they always try to put a modern roster in there. I've seen No Mercy hacks with with current guys. I've seen ones for NXT. I've seen ones that represent WWF in the 80s, and we're going to go through all those ROM hacks and take a look at those. In addition, there's been some gameplay footage of the Spider-Man for the PS4, so join us on that, and we'll go through the entire game and do a playthrough for you guys. A playthrough for you guys on that. In addition, we're going through all the games on the Super Nintendo Classic. I recently acquired one for Christmas. I got it as a present for my wife. Thank you so much for that. And we're going to go through all 25 games on the Super Nintendo Classic. We're still doing Spaceplex Vintage Game Room. Our next video on that will be... Shit, what the fuck's the name of that fucking game? Crime Fighters. Our next video on that will be Crime Fighters, and then followed by that by Macross. I know Matt has some thoughts on Macross and Robotech, so that's going to be fantastic. Of course, we're going to continue doing the 1984 project until its conclusion, and then we're going to transition into the AWA 1990 project, which is going to be a lot of fun. Looking forward to doing that. In terms of Retro Wrestling Games Presents, our next video will be WWF Raw for the Xbox. So, we're getting into a little bit more modern games now. Our last two were really good. We did Muscle and we did the WCW game. So, real happy to see that. Right now, as it stands, we have 1,100 subscribers. So, thank you all for subscribing and listening. I appreciate that. We recently got remonetized on YouTube. It took me 8 months to get us back to that level. So I appreciate that from you guys. In addition, of course, we have our IWA IWAR Tubecast that we do, and those are for the players that play in the IWA, which is a play-by-mail fantasy wrestling league. So again, you can't have a retro wrestling games channel and not talk about the IWA, that's for sure. So we're real excited. Again, a lot of stuff coming. I know if you guys seen an uptick in the amount of videos that are being put out and produced. So very, very happy with the growth of our channel, even though we did lose 500 subscribers in January due to a YouTube cleanup. So I got monetized and lost 500 subscribers at the same time. So. In addition, I'm still currently on a podcast called Retro Wrestling Rewind, where we take a look at some of the greatest events in wrestling history. I'm on that podcast. So again, if you have Stitcher or Podcast Addict or iTunes, we're on all the platforms there. Check us out. We will be going to WrestleCon. We have a booth for WrestleCon. We're gonna have some T-shirts, some stickers, and some magnets to give out. We're going to have a raffle for a old school wrestling basket. So if you're going to WrestleMania this year, if you're going to WrestleCon, please check us out. Hopefully we'll be stuck in between Tori Wilson and Missy Hyatt. So that's what I'm going to cross my fingers there. We'll see. They'll probably put us in the corner by the bathroom, though. I'm excited about WrestleCon, man. They're going to have a lot of cool guys. They got some guys from Japan coming in. You have Onita coming in, which I'm real excited to see. You have Flair there. I'm going to try to get Flair and Bret Hart, but those guys are usually hard to get because they're very, very expensive for their autographs. Especially during WrestleCon seasons, everyone prices go up because they have so many people coming in from all over the world to this event. Again, it's in Midtown Manhattan, right outside Times Square and the Hilton. So real excited about that. We'll be going to WrestleMania. We'll be going to the Ring of Honor show and Madison Square Garden. So those are going to be dope as hell. I'm super stoked about that. But, in terms of the channel, I think we're doing well here. Again, I want to produce more content, and, it's just, scheduling and to be honest, sheer exhaustion from, these are not necessarily the easiest things to do. Again, doing the gameplays are fun for me. Turning that into, I'm not a streamer. I'm not going to put on a camera and just play and just talk through. These videos are produced. They're not just me rambling over gameplay footage. This is legit, gameplay footage of me playing the game. There is a production value in there. I can't stream anyway because I can't talk and play video games at the same time. I just can't do it. I've tried, and I can't do it. I like to play my video games in complete silence. So, but you'll see more games. Like after Spider-Man, I'm doing Fist of the North Star, which is an awesome game, which is super violent. Please come check that out. Again, guys, do me a favor. If you haven't subscribed already, please subscribe. Hit the bell. Hit a like or dislike button. I don't care. Do either. And then leave a comment. If you agree with what we say or you disagree with what you say, you can say, hey, Alex, you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Or you're like, oh, no, you're right. And I respond back. Take some time out. Takes 5 seconds to do a comment. It's not that big of a deal. Again, follow me on Twitter at RW Games Presents on Twitter. Again, we have almost 5,000 followers on Twitter. Please check us out. I'm a good follow. I always put up some interesting and cool stuff, and it's a lot of fun there. So I think overall, right now we're doing well. I mean, this is we're our 3rd year. We've been doing this since 2016, much longer than a lot of the wrestling podcasts that are out there. So we are veterans of the YouTube world, and when I thought out this concept, and again, when I pitched it to Matt, it was different. This is different. We do something completely different than what anyone else does, right? The NWA projects are a mix of fantasy booking. We go over, wrestling history. We go over modern wrestling news and modern wrestling events too. So we're trying to get all our bases here. So plus, we could have done this on a podcast, and I chose to use YouTube because when I make these fantasy worlds and these fantasy bookings, this is something I always did every time I got a WWE game. This is not anything different than I would normally do. I'd be doing exactly the same thing, regardless if I was, putting it on YouTube or not. This is something that I always did. Although for the future, I may just do a modern, I could do an AEW. I could do my own fantasy promotion with modern wrestlers down the road for 2020. So I'm looking for that in 2020. Doing something a little bit different than we've been doing so far. I'm a big proponent of the fact that things have to come to an end. The series have to come to an end. That's why we did the 83 project. That finished. Now we're on the 84 project. I'm always a big proponent of not just having random videos forever. Once we review all the wrestling games ever, right? Which will take us a long time. It's going to be done. Well, it gets easier towards the end. Once we complete all the old school ones. I'm talking about all of them.
Yeah.
Commodore 64, Ataris. We're talking about Game Boys. We're going to be talking about everything under the sun. But once that's done, it's going to take us a long time. Once that's finished, they'll release 1 or 2 wrestling games a year that we have to take a look at. So as we complete this, it's going to be less wrestling games and less videos on this particular subject. So we're gonna supplement that with more gameplay videos. So again, we're looking to do we're in the middle of Spider-Man. We're going to do Fist of the North Star. We're going to do whatever game comes up as playthroughs. But once we're out of wrestling games, which is going to take us a long time, I've been thinking about doing a Madden series and starting from the original Madden until now. Always a big fan of that series, so that could be really interesting. We're not really, there's no restrictions here. Yeah, we're a pro wrestling channel, but more importantly, we're a pop culture channel. We talk about pop culture stuff. We're going to have a toy retrospective hopefully soon. I just need to figure out a name because I can't figure out a name for this show. I have the footage already recorded too. So all we got to do is talk about it. But I just need a name. But yeah, that's what we're doing right now, guys. So thank you. We have guys who always tend to comment on our channels, and I want to shout them out quickly because those guys are awesome. I just want to shout out my good friend Bar Lazy JJ, who always comments on our videos and always gives us a thumbs up, which I assume. But he makes really good points. And thank you for commenting on our videos. Thank you for watching. I appreciate it, man. We have Michael Knight, which is interesting to me. He always comments on our videos as well. So I'm real happy about that.
Does Kit comment as well?
I was hoping. I'm hoping like that's like the legit Michael Knight. You know what I mean?
He's him and his Camaro locked up somewhere listening to podcasts. Michael, let's play.
Do you know the voice of Kit is fucking Mr. Feeney from Boy Meets World?
No, I did not know that.
Yeah. So thank you for commenting. Keep up the comments, please. And thank you, and I appreciate it. So Matt, what are your thoughts on the current direction of the channel and where we're going?
Again, we talked about we go through a period of time, cover it, then move on to the next one. And I'm always a big fan of the old what if. If you were a Marvel Comics reader, there were the what if series, and it was always what if Spider-Man had Wolverine claws, or what if this happened, and
what if the Punisher killed Spider-Man was like one of my favorites. And there's one where what if Captain America came back today? That was a cool one. And then the Red Skull had all the superheroes in concentration camps and shit.
My only problem was that a lot of the time their stories would end with somebody having superpowers, like crazy powerful. Yeah. And it would end with, and they become one with the universe. Like, the go-to ending was, what are we going to do with the story? Just make them one with the universe. Oh, fine. But
you would have, what if Dr. Doom had the Infinity Gauntlet, shit like that.
Right.
But, the what-if scenarios in wrestling, it can go on and on and on. Like, what if Barry Windham never left Crockett to go to the WWF? Would Magnum TA, would he be the number 2? Because obviously they're grooming Windham for the title, so... maybe Magnum TA doesn't come in right away. Maybe he goes to fucking world class. Maybe he goes to WWF. These movies can be picked apart and take a look at them and see what kind of And that's what we're doing here. We're talking about NWA 1984. We're talking about what if with my personal my fantasy promotion taking place NWA Los Angeles, NWA West Coast, and we have Jim Crockett on the East Coast who consolidated those territories, Georgia, Florida. And what have you. So, that's what we're doing now. That's why there's 2 promotions, essentially, while we did this. So, obviously, we have our West Coast. So, you see Kansas City, St. Louis, Los Angeles. And then on the Crockett side, we have North Carolina, South Carolina, Atlanta, Florida, all the way up to Baltimore. So, that's what we're doing here. So, I'm pretty stoked. I'm pretty stoked overall. So, I just want to say, thank you for listening, and I appreciate you guys. So. Let's move on to some modern wrestling news. A lot of guys leaving, asking for their releases and leaving the WWE to go to who knows where. Maybe AEW, maybe Japan, maybe Ring of Honor, maybe MLW, maybe they go to NWA. But I guess the biggest name that who's not resigning with the WWE right now is Dean Ambrose, one of your favorites.
Yeah,
he's someone, and I think it's been known that he wasn't happy with the creative direction of his character. And I think you can you can see the point where it got fucking weird for him. I think it had to do with Jericho and the fucking plant. Remember that?
Vaguely.
Yeah, exactly my point. And then Dean Ambrose destroyed Chris Jericho's jacket that lit up, and then they led up to this match. But I can see definitely where he'll be frustrated because he was someone that, to me, had potential to be the next Steve Austin. He could have been what Becky Lynch is right now if they would have booked him like her.
Well, I'm going to give you my hot take. I've never liked Dean Ambrose.
We know.
I think he's trying too hard. And again, he reminds me of the backyard wrestler who made it. And
that's essentially what he is.
And I get it to a degree. But, would I'd be surprised if he took this off and then was like, just I'm going to go walk the earth or pull a CM Punk and do whatever.
Well, I think that's the other thing, too. He doesn't necessarily, he's someone who's probably, smart with his money that he's made. Maybe he just goes home.
He's got his old lady making money now for him, too.
Yeah. It's funny because I mentioned WrestleCon earlier. The WWE announcers are at WrestleCon and not at WWE Access, which is weird.
Huh.
So Lawler, Corey Graves, and Renee are all at WrestleCon, but they're not at the WWE Access.
I was going to say, do you have a landing spot in mind for, would you be surprised if, well, actually, no, when's WrestleMania? April
3rd? April 3rd or 4th.
And when's his contract up?
Right after WrestleMania, so probably the next week.
Okay, so keeping that timeline in mind, do you think that Dean will be on WrestleMania?
I think he will be. Because Natch was on WrestleMania, and he already gave his notice when he jumped to WCW.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I can see a scenario where he jobs out to Nia Jax like on a pre-show. You know what I mean? Or he gets beat by Triple H. Because obviously you're going to want to beat him, right? To get someone else over. He's leaving. Right? He has to do jobs on the way out. That's kind of wrestling rules.
I wouldn't see Triple H. I could see someone else on the roster who is on the way up.
Well, who needs elevation at this point?
Oh, tons of them.
Well, yeah, it's everybody. But who would you pick? I guess
Elias.
I can see Elias.
Or if you want to put somebody over big and Lars is over his stage fright situation, have Lars destroy him.
Yeah.
And then you have Lars like, oh my god, he sent him off on a stretcher. And remember when they Batista left in the wheelchair?
Yeah. I would pick, if you're going to elevate someone and you're going to bring someone on, it would be Aleister Black.
Okay, yeah.
Just to get him, where he needs to be. Having a win over Dean Ambrose is going to be, it's going to mean something to someone.
I think if it's insulting, then you're having him lose to Nia Jax in some stupid,
like they did to Jarrett.
Right.
With China.
Yeah.
That's nothing new. I mean, you could have like fucking Kurt Hawkins beat him on the way out and get his one win.
Oh my god, that would be pretty funny. But the thing is, they couldn't talk about it unless their idea was to keep burying Dean Ambrose and be like, his one victory over Dean Ambrose. Because I'm sure wherever he goes, he's going to become Joe Moxley, whoever the hell it was again, or
John Moxley.
What? Don Moxley?
Yeah. I can see a scenario. I don't know if I'm AEW. I don't want to get the reputation of being the next TNA.
Oh, I'd let him go. If I'm him, I go to again, this is just me, I go to New Japan or I go someplace like Ring of Honor and, reestablish,
He never had a run in Ring of Honor.
No?
No, he was a CZW guy. I just was going back to doing light tubes death matches again.
I will tell you a fun fact. At the gym today, one of the channels I could watch on the treadmill was New England Sports Network, which carries Ring of Honor Wrestling.
Nesson?
It does, yeah. So I watched a little Ring of Honor.
The problem with their show is it's boring as fuck.
It sure is.
Their TV show is boring as fuck.
Production-wise, I get what they're doing to make the crowd maximization.
It's slick. I mean, it's produced well. It's just, and this is nothing new. It was boring as fuck 10 years ago too.
It's too much black and everything's black. Like add some color. Like I don't care if you use red or whatever. I like the format with the the handshake and everything else. I think it's got a very good element to it. But it just kind of doesn't jump out at you.
And you talking to someone who's a serious Ring of Honor fan. I've seen the first show, not live, but I got the first tapes, and I watched all those shows. I've been to. I was there when Bryan Danielson won the world title from James Gibson in Long Island. I've been to the Hammerstein more times than you could fucking count. I stopped going. What year did I stop going? I stopped going in 2014. So there's from 2006 to 2014, I was at just about every Hammerstein show. And if you go back to some of them, you'll see me right in the front row. Wow. So I'm a big Ring of Honor fan, and I'm telling you this: their TV show has been bland forever. But you go to Ring of Honor show live, it's fucking amazing. And sometimes you look at the lineup, like, this lineup is shit, right? But you go to the show, and you're going to have a great time regardless of what the lineup is. Like, one of the greatest matches I've ever seen in my entire life, and people will think weird because I'm an old school guy, it was fucking Kyle O'Reilly and Adam Cole versus the Young Bucks. That shit was fucking fire. It was fucking fantastic. Funny enough, that was under Cornette. Fucking was quote unquote Delirious was booking, but everyone knows that Cornette was really booking. So,
hey, what happened to Ember Moon?
Apparently, at the Royal Rumble, Alexa Bliss ripped out a new move, which is a moonsault knee.
Here's a station you might like. Find hip hop on Amazon Music.
Shut up, Alexa.
I'm leaving that fucking shit in.
Alexa, stop.
So Miss Bliss. So Miss Bliss did a moonsault knee drop, and apparently it hit Amber Moon in the fucking elbow and fucking fucked her up.
Nice. Oh, that's great.
Yeah. So
Oops.
we get Alexa Bliss back, but we lose Amber Moon, who hasn't been doing anything anyway. This might be a moment to kind of bring her back and reestablish her when she comes back from her injury.
Yeah. Well.
Because she was super hot in NXT, and they fucking cooled her off real fucking quick. And
yeah, well, she came in and was like, "Oh, here she is."
She's a fucking werewolf. That's her fucking
is?
gimmick. Yeah, she's a fucking werewolf.
I read one time that her gimmick is her D&D character,
which is a werewolf. They did it so much better in fucking NXT where they had like the fucking moon on the thing and she had the fucking cat eyes and shit, you know. But you know she's supposed to be a werewolf, but you know she's not. So, but yeah, and you were telling me that AEW is only in the market for like 6 WWE guys currently on the roster, which I agree with. But in terms of who they're going to be, I mean, depending on what AEW style is, which I'm gonna guess it's going to be a super indie style, right? So it's going to be very similar to what we saw at All In, right? So that being the case, they don't look guys who can actually wrestle that style. So, you know, there's a lot of guys that can wrestle that style. You know, someone with Joe can wrestle that style, Seth Rollins, AJ Styles. You know, you can go down the list. There's a ton of guys, but you know, who would I want to bring in? I'm probably looking for guys who are not anywhere near close to the main event. You know, I'll try to bring in, and they're not going to be your main event either. But you got to fill up that. You need mid card guys, and I think those are the guys that you take. You know, if they're interested. If the Revival gets the release, I'm taking those guys right off the bat, right? You know, you need to get that. You know, imagine the matches they're going to have with the Bucks.
Right.
Like it's going to be fucking amazing. And I think the key to everything, the key to fucking everything, is that don't bring in guys just to bring in guys. Bring in guys for a reason. Right. Bring in guys that you have an idea for. Because you can get Dean Ambrose all you want, but you have nothing for him. You have nothing for him. That's the reality of the situation. Don't bring in guys unless you have an idea for them.
I would say if I was picking because people said, "Oh, Dolph Ziggler."
Nah, he needs to go to Japan.
Yeah, that cycle. The one guy I think would be able to transition easily is probably Cesaro.
Yeah, I would say so.
He was great, you know, before. I think he's still got it in him. I think he'd be a fantastic singles wrestler. I always feel, too, that a lot of these guys, and it goes back to their creative element, and I say creative with the asterisk of what Vince lets them do, is, you know, unfortunately, the WWE's curse is it's like, I hate to say this in a way, but they make the boss giggle, and that becomes the gimmick.
Yeah.
That's the going way.
To me, it's like, this is what Vince sees you as. So this is like Daniel Bryan. That's what, like, his character is not necessarily him, but that's the way Vince sees him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, look at this guy. He's like a fucking hippie. He's a fucking hipster. You know, we're gonna do all this shit with him. Which I like. You know, they're doing the 2019 version of the Straight Edge Society. All they need is a girl to come in. Yeah. I wonder if Brie Bella's gonna shave her head or not. When it comes to AEW, I mean, I was discussing with some people on Twitter about, you know, expectations and what have you, and a lot of people saying, well, it should be big and hot right off the bat because they're backed by a $6 billion company. I'm like, but so is Ring of Honor. You know, that doesn't mean anything. Whatever the cons put in, and I heard the initial investment was $100 million for this venture. That money's going to go extremely fast, and you're not going to be spending that money on in-ring talent. Because now you have to build an entire infrastructure. Now you go to Titan Towers, you see how many people who work in that fucking office? Yeah. You need fucking office people. You need the guys who handle travel. You need the guys that handle the ring truck and the ring crew. You need guys that handle live event promotion and booking buildings. You know, Vince doesn't book fucking buildings. They have a person for that. You need someone in fucking marketing. You need marketing people. You need advertising people. You need merchandise people. Like, they need executives. They need that structure. And TNA never had that structure, and it fell apart.
Yeah.
Like, even WCW had that structure in place, an office with people. They have HR people, for Christ's sakes. So they need to build that, and that's going to cost them a lot of money to do. Whatever their headquarters are at, wherever, if it's going to be in Jacksonville or it's going to be in Atlanta, it doesn't matter where it is. It's just going to have to be somewhere. They're going to have to build an office. And then that's the hardest part for fans to understand because they're not in the business. So they think, it's going to be great. They're going to book Madison Square Garden. They're going to have Kenny Omega versus Cody on the main event, and that's it. You don't have a company. It's like, no, it doesn't work that way, guys. You need merchandise to get their brand out. It's so intricate to build a company from scratch. Vince didn't even build his company from scratch. Don't believe the hype. His dad gave it to him.
Right.
And that's the reality of the situation. So, like, when I'm talking on Twitter, I was telling people that I'm cautiously optimistic because I've seen companies come and I see companies go. Yeah, that's the way it is. That's the way it is.
While we're doing that, we can talk about quickly the debut of MMA fighter Jack Swagger. And he won with a chokehold, got a tap out. But I will say the most impressive part of it was, and kind of heartbreaking, was he gets the win. Yeah, it was a good little slugfest. Got the opener win, if you will. Steps back, looks at the camera, puts his hand on his chest, and goes, "We the people."
Yeah.
Oh.
I'm pretty sure that wasn't a character. I believe that was really him. That's the reality of the situation. Now, when it comes to Swagger, right? And I think he's doing it right. He's fighting guys. First of all, he's more comparing him to CM Punk. He's comparing apples and oranges. This guy was a legit, college champion, legit wrestler. Punk was not. Punk was essentially a guy off the street. This guy had legit credentials, right? And he didn't go to UFC and fight a UFC guy. He went somewhere else. And I'm not saying this guy was a tomato can. He probably kicked my ass. But I'm saying he found someone that he'd be able to beat.
Right.
And that someone was, at least on his level. So, we'll see. We'll see. We'll see how he goes here on forward. But he cut a little promo after the fucking event too, and we show it shows you why he wasn't pushed more because boy cannot cut a promo.
Yeah.
The lisp hurt him too. Let's be honest. Like, I hate to say it, but he's a really bad lisp, like worse than fucking Dusty Rhodes.
Yeah.
And Dusty's lisp, I didn't believe was fake anyway. So, fucking ridiculous. All right, so we're gonna go over the Royal Rumble results here, and I'll give us, I actually watched the show, so. I mean, we can go over the pre-show matches. You had Bobby Roode and Chad Gable who defeated Scott Dawson and Razor with Drake Maverick. Yeah, this was weird. I guess if they would have won, if Dawson and Razor would have won both the Revival and AOP would get tag title matches. But I like the combination of Roode and Gable together, though. I think that had something there. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Next up, we have Nakamura, who defeated Rusev to win the United States Championship at 10-15. What are your thoughts on this match?
I get what they're doing at first because the whole angle of she got in the way, but when we talk about what happens 2 nights later, it kind of kills all that off pretty quick.
Yeah, they kind of just let it go. I don't know. It was weird. It was a match to have a match, and it was a match to get Rusev gets the belt off of him. I think they're taking time off because I think they want to start a family. So this could be a way of kind of going through that process, getting them through WrestleMania. And we're going to see them for a while after WrestleMania. Lana has an ankle injury. I don't know. It's kayfabe injury. So we'll see how that goes. After that, we have Buddy Murphy who defeated Kira Tozawa, Hideo Itami, and Kalisto. Now, I guess the big news coming out of this match is that Itami has asked and was granted his release. So a lot of people are speculating that he's going to go to AEW or to Ring of Honor. I think he's just going back to Japan. We'll see him back in Noah relatively soon. So, Buddy Murphy looks good. I like Buddy Murphy. I think he's someone that you kind of earmark okay, this guy is potentially could be a main eventer someday, I think.
Yeah, totally. And he's 30, so it's I keep thinking to myself, one of the problems WWE has is they have all these guys who are hanging around. If you had guys like Orton, Dolph, Big Show, even to a degree, Cesaro and Sheamus, move on. There's spots opening for people,
Well, here's the thing too. You know what WWE's doing now? There's rumors coming out from Connecticut that they're pulling people into rooms and they're trying to get contract extension on everybody.
Really?
They're hoarding talent. That's what they're doing right now. Is hoarding talent.
Yeah.
They're signing anyone and anyone that has any buzz on the independents, and they're hoarding talent. And then what's sad too, because anyone that doesn't agree to that extension is gonna get fucking buried for the next how longer? No. They're going to get buried for the remainder of their contract. So it puts everyone in a bad position. That's a stupid move on the WWE's part, by the way.
Yeah.
To put their talent in that. Because it makes them want to leave more. There's like, I'm not going to go for a longer extension. You have to pay me a ton of money. Unless you agree to an extension and they fucking bump you up a lot.
Yeah.
Like a lot of money. But we'll see. They have plenty of money.
Wasn't enough for Dean Ambrose.
Yeah, but I think Dean Ambrose was more like he hated his creative. There's guys who will sit there and just take the money.
Yeah.
It's just like they'll sit there. It's like, all right, I want to be a job guy. I'm going to be Kurt Hawkins. Just pay me, whatever it is, $150,000 a year plus my merch stuff, and I'll be happy with losing every night. There's guys, that were happy. I'm not necessarily happy, but they're content with their position and making money. So I don't fault them for that. A lot of people like that. We all have jobs. We're all just like,
yeah.
We probably all hate it. And it's like, I'm just going to get this paycheck. That's it. It is what it is. To open the show, Asuka defeated Becky Lynch by submission, which we both called, by the way, on the last show. So, As we know, Becky Lynch comes back and wins the Rumble. We'll go over that when she wins the Rumble. The question here coming out of this match is, what do you do with Asuka? Like, what's her next big thing, you think? Or where should she go? She just beat the man, right?
Mm-hmm.
And who's her next opponent?
I would say if you don't go Charlotte, then you want to give somebody else like Ruby Riott a run or somebody entertaining, like you have somebody new.
I want to do something different too. Like I do a Nikki Cross here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just to give her her showcase because she is really good. I mean, they're probably gonna go with like who knows. Like brand split doesn't even matter anymore, so throw that shit out the window. But it could be easily a Sasha Banks here. It could be easily a Bayley here. It could be an Alexa Bliss here on the spot. And I think they're doing an Elimination Chamber next, and I'm assuming probably the winners of the Elimination Chamber is going to get the next set of title matches that were determined at the Royal Rumble. So we can see a situation here where the winner of the Elimination Chamber will get a shot at Asuka. So again, we'll go back and see who is in the elimination, if they're having a women's Elimination Chamber, and if that's going to be the stipulation there. It would be interesting if it's Becky Lynch and she goes after both titles the one night, because if you want to send someone to the moon, that's the way to do it. Have her beat Asuka and Ronda Rousey on the same night.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go. That's a pipe dream. That's me booking crazy. That's why I don't have a booking now. That's the sole reason why the WWE will not hire me, because I would do shit like have Becky Lynch win both titles at WrestleMania.
Yeah.
Because if someone's over, you have to fucking push them until they're not. That's kind of the idea. But a lot of people were mad that Becky lost. I thought that's great, because now if Becky beats Ronda, she can go up. Asuka has a fucking claim. She's the beef. You can put it right back in the program.
I think that's actually why she beat her.
Right.
Is they can go on later and say, well, she beat you. She made you tap out.
Right.
And
it's good. I think it's good booking. That's good booking.
I would have her beat Charlotte, because Charlotte beat her last year and even the series. Then if you have a third year in a row, for whatever reason, you can have the tiebreak series match next year and play it up and be like, they each get a big win at WrestleMania. This is, whatever.
I would have her beat the entire, have her beat Bayley and fucking Sasha too. Kind of in a row, she's defeated all the four horsewomen. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Because
they have a Clash of Champions pay-per-view, or fucking some sort of weird pay-per-view where they do champion versus champion. I guess that could be Asuka Becky Lynch main event of that show. Title versus title. And I can see that. That's the way to go. I mean, they're doing a really good job with Becky at this point. I remember people when they turned her heel, people were pissed. And I thought that was so ridiculous. And look at her now.
Yeah.
She's the top woman.
She's been fantastic, and I like what they've done with her. I know oftentimes people don't want to give it a chance, and I think we've entered this era where they're starting to figure out you don't need to be traditional roles to be, quote, popular or hated.
Right.
Like, you can go and have someone be hated. I remember the night, everyone made such a huge deal out of the night that Owens and Elias were making fun of Seattle fans, and they're like, oh my God, 7 months. You went into Seattle and shit on the basketball team that doesn't exist anymore. That makes them go nuts. That's just, you can go, and that's cheap heat.
Let those, let them get the heat.
Yeah,
let them get the fucking heat.
But, like, I was watching a match, actually, that match earlier. It was Silas Young versus somebody, I can't think of his name, a young guy.
I like Silas Young. He looks like a fucking throwback.
I enjoy him. But one thing I noticed, he kept yelling at the wrestler, and he wasn't getting the crowd involved, and they were very quiet. And not enough guys, work the crowd, man. Work the crowd. They're there for a reason. Give them something to respond to. And Becky Lynch is good at that. She's in the right place, right time. I hope things go well for her and they keep going well. I think you do have her beat Ronda, because when Ronda can I would have Ronda pass out, because I think the problem with Ronda right now is she is toxic to the fans. The thing that happened the other night in Phoenix was they became like the West Coast Brooklyn. Like, it did not go the way they wanted it to go, meaning the WWE brass. Because the fans were like, boo, whenever Ronda talked. When she had offense, they booed her. She's become the de facto bad guy, and they're trying to make her the good guy. And they're just not going to acknowledge that. So I would just have it be, Becky's the most popular person.
Would you do a scenario where there's blood involved?
With what?
Would you do a scenario where there's blood involved? Like, if you're going to use blood, if you're going to use blood in the finish of the Becky Lynch Ronda on Ronda, and have the referee stop and do the blood? Only
if it's Ronda bleeding.
Yeah, exactly.
And just because I think if the rumors are true and she's taking time off to be with her family or start a family, that's fine. But you have her go out getting injured or some kind of major thing where it's like she's not.
Or a scenario where Bayley, Charlotte, and Sasha comes down and gives her a fucking beatdown. Bad.
Yeah.
Put her out. Put her through a table. Put her out. They'll set up a return for Survivor Series where you have the four horsewomen versus the four horsewomen.
Yeah.
That's the way that should go.
Well, depending how soon she has a baby, I guess, right? But no, I think there's a lot of directions you can go. I hope they don't butcher it.
Just don't fuck it up. Don't fuck it up.
I was surprised. I think the thing that made me laugh most the whole night was Shane McMahon's shooting star press.
Yeah, we'll talk about that right now. Next up was The Miz and Shane McMahon, who defeated The Bar. Why does Shane McMahon have a championship in 2019? I'll fucking never know.
I keep thinking that this is going to be one of those things that...
You think Shane's going to turn on Miz's father, like beat him up or something?
I think it's actually a thing where Shane will turn heel and become the new Vince. And it'll work because he'll make it so emotionally rewarding, this whole thing. Like, he brought out Mrs. Dad the other night and was like, oh, it's Mrs. Dad. He's proud of his son. And, to have his son the rule breaker for all these years, to have his father proud of him is such a big moment. But I think having Shane... Shane kept saying the other night, I have a surprise for you. And I think everyone was waiting for this turn to happen. I kept waiting for the Bar to come out and beat up his father. But I think if Shane... It's just one of those things that I think you have to do it absolutely perfectly. Because Miz turning on Shane...
doesn't get you anywhere.
Well, yeah, because then you have Shane...
So we're right back where we started.
Right. But if Miz has to get revenge on Shane, and he kind of manipulates the things to make him more like a Steve Austin, where, like, he takes his movies away, he takes this away from him, like, all of a sudden all this stuff is gone. There's a lot they could do with it. So I hope they go that direction eventually. I don't know if it's one of those things where you're thinking, like, WrestleMania Shane turns on him, and then they eventually have Shane versus Miz at SummerSlam, because it gets Shane's wrestling bug out. I don't know, but I the match was okay, but I think the best part was that shooting star press. I laughed so hard. It was great, but that was a good little finisher there.
I don't know. I don't like the whole Shane wrestling. I think he makes the other wrestlers look bad.
Oh, yeah. Well, Shane shouldn't be wrestling anyway. Shane, if he wrestled once every couple of years, fine.
And, like, have it be not a street fight. Have it be a fight, not a match.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, gimmick it up, for fuck's sake. I don't know. And it's disappointing. Because that's a spot for somebody else that he's taking.
Right.
Next up, we have Ronda Rousey defeated Sasha Banks. Thank God. For WWE Raw's Women's Championship. Ronda looks good. I mean, I like the match. It was really good. I mean, I think, the way she got into her finisher was nice. She's slick in the ring. I mean, she's still awkward. And a little like robotic in the ring, and she can't cut a promo with the life. But for someone who had, 15 matches,
Yeah.
She's doing extremely well. She's a lifelong fan. I mean, everyone knows the story. She's able to mimic what she needs to mimic. I think she gives too much. Like, I'm in the opinion that she should be dominating these matches, like Goldberg style. You know what I mean? But, what are you going to do? They're doing it in a way where they're teaching her how to work and have her be champion at the same time. It's extremely difficult to do. But I understand why she's champ. For fuck's sake. She's a big star. Next up is the Royal Rumble, which Becky Lynch won. Now, botchy as fuck, huh? This Rumble, huh?
That was an uncomfortable event to watch. I thought there was a couple of good spots, but I remember thinking many times, I can't give you a perspective on this. One of my old roommates came by to visit and watch this show, and he hadn't watched wrestling in let's say 5 to 6 years, maybe, right? And we used to live together and watch it and go to the shows together and everything else. And his comment most of all was, they look fucking terrible. There were so many bad spots at the cash, and I always think back to these were events where you have a lot of casual fans, like going to a friend's house, check it out. Yeah. Especially like Royal Rumble. Royal Rumble is one of those big events where it's like anyone can sit down and watch, and it's a pretty cute, 30 guys wrestling. Okay, well, everything, all right, great, this is easy to watch. But there were so many just botches. And one of the things was they kept crowding the ring. Thin the herd. Come on.
I think they definitely need more eliminations. I mean, there were good spots in the Rumble, like the Casey Catanzaro spot. I thought was good. Yeah. The Naomi spot was good. Yes. I dig that. Charlotte went fucking 50 minutes in that fucking thing, and Natalya went 56 minutes in the fucking Rumble. That's a fucking long time. Lacey Evans stood out to me. She's a nice little heel.
Yep.
I definitely dig that. The Zelina Vega stuff with Hornswoggle was funny. Nice to see Hornswoggle come out of nowhere. I thought that was pretty good.
Yeah.
Not a whole. I didn't think there was going to be a lot of surprise entries in this Rumble. There weren't. I don't think there's any old school wrestlers that are in here. No. So we didn't, other than Maria Kanellis. I don't know last time when she actually wrestled. This might be her first time back.
Yeah, that I can't remember that at all, and I was like, oh, okay.
And I love Alicia Fox, and she's been on the roster for 15 years at this point. She's been there forever.
Right.
But I like her character now. I want to see more of her. I want to see her let's put her up against Asuka, because I find her let's do something there. She has something there. Finally, it just took her a trillion years, but she has something. Let's use her. But the roster's so fucking big right now. It's nothing you can do. You almost you can't get everyone over. Not everyone can be a top star, and it is what it is. I do like the way that Becky entered the Rumble. They made fucking Fit Finlay the biggest babyface in the world. They should have mentioned that. Fit Finlay shouldn't even let Becky in there. They're both fucking Irish. He was being fucking
yeah.
He was he's being biased and shit. But they made Fit Finlay the biggest babyface out of that. So
yes.
Next up, Daniel Bryan, champion, who defeated AJ Styles to retain the WWE Championship. They got time. They got 25 minutes. I mean, the match was good, but I've seen them have better matches.
I'll go back to my same problem with the last time I had a pay-per-view match. They're supposed to hate each other. Really, really take it out of the ring. Really show some heat. When he was fighting Samoa Joe, it was a heated.
Right. That was really good.
This is come on, this guy took your title. Come on, man. Show some fire. And not just I'm gonna out wrestle you. I'm gonna beat the shit out of you and take your title. So I didn't like the match. I mean, it was fine, but just
it was perfectly acceptable wrestling, but it doesn't do anything for anybody.
Right.
And that's the issue. It's just
Well, that's all I got to say about that.
It's just the status quo. Just the status quo. Just on to the next thing.
Yep.
Next up, we have Brock Lesnar. He defeated Finn Balor by submission. This is for the Universal Championship. I thought Finn Balor looked good. I like the whole abdomen injury and Finn really going after the injury until like Brock just like said fucking just beat him at the end.
I don't mind saying this. They got me. I thought for sure they were going to put the belt on Finn.
Yeah, like new gear on and everything.
And give us Braun versus Brock at WrestleMania, which makes sense. You don't need the belt between the two of them to have a beef and settle the score. But, having Brock versus, whatever. I think it was a good match. The whole, injured stomach thing seemed to lean that way. But, whatever. Balor looked good. Like, everyone was like, oh, they buried him. I'm like, no.
Oh, he looked good.
He looked fine.
He looked real good. He didn't look this good in a long time.
Like, he looked better than Braun Strowman looked last year.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is the best he looked after coming back from his injury.
And I think one thing we don't talk about enough is Brock selling does a really nice job. He really does.
He doesn't sell for everybody. Like, he wouldn't do that for Braun Strowman. But he'll do that for guys like AJ Styles. I think he likes wrestling those guys.
Right.
Apparently he picked. This is the rumor. The rumor is like he didn't want to wrestle Braun. He wanted to wrestle Finn. Because he wanted to have that kind of match.
Yeah.
So, like, Brock is an interesting dude. Plus, he calls a lot of shots.
Mm-hmm.
You saw that, I don't know if you saw it, but that, like, the WWE 24, where when Brock fucking throws the belt at Vince, and Vince calls him an asshole.
No, I saw the gif of that.
Yeah, so like, oh. But I think Brock has more leverage. Like, this is what I want to do. I want to wrestle AJ Styles. I want to wrestle Samoa Joe. I want to wrestle Finn Balor. I don't want to wrestle fucking, Braun Strowman or, like, Roman Reigns anymore when he was there. Curious about seeing where they're going to go. I mean, obviously, we'll go over the Rumble now. Seth Rollins won the Royal Rumble by eliminating Braun Strowman. And we mentioned on the show that, Seth Rollins was a possibility here to win this thing. It's interesting to me. I guess the story they probably should play off is the fact that Seth Rollins won the WWE Championship when he cashed in his Money in the Bank during a Brock Lesnar-Roman Reigns match where he beat Roman Reigns.
Yeah.
So, you can play off of that a little bit, but, your main event of WrestleMania, folks, is Brock Lesnar versus Seth Rollins right now for the title. I mean, realistically, it should be Becky and Ronda probably should headline this show, right? I think we're all at this point, unless they do something crazy, because I'm not really feeling fucking Lesnar versus Rollins. I think Brock's is just gonna beat him, and then Brock's gonna move on to the next guy.
I think this is you're gonna make the challenge or the change. You got to do it now.
I agree, but I don't think they're making the change, though. I don't think they give a shit. I think they just don't.
Brock is he's ratings death. I'm sorry, he's been terrible as a champion.
He looked a lot leaner in this match, by the way. He looked a lot smaller. He could be cutting weight to go back to the UFC.
Yeah, maybe.
He looked a lot leaner than the story. Like, he started to lose that belly a little bit because he had a belly. But yeah, I don't feel any heat from this Rollins, Lesnar match. It's like,
It'll get there.
What I did enjoy was the return of Jeff Jarrett. Like, that's the big surprise of this Rumble was the return of Jeff Jarrett, who was blackballed from the WWE for the last, I say, 20 years. Because the whole, what happened was that he was an Intercontinental Champion, and his contract ran out. He held up Vince for money to do the job to China. And ever since then, Jeff Jarrett has not been welcomed to the WWE. But since he went to the Hall of Fame last year, and he's in the Rumble, and he was on Raw, nice to see Jeff Jarrett back. He's probably going to get a position backstage. And you can say what you want about Jeff Jarrett. There was times that I enjoyed him. There was times that I disliked him, his work. But he definitely has a mind for the wrestling business. And definitely, if you have him backstage as a road agent or part of creative, I mean, that's definitely a plus, I think. Also keeps him out of AEW as well, by the way.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, Kurt Angle was in there for a little bit. Nice to see Kurt back in there. I'm always scared for Kurt because he always looks like he's going to break his neck.
Yes.
What are your thoughts on Nia Jax? I know there was a lot of I guess uproar about number one, her entering the Rumble after beating up R-Truth.
Yeah.
And her treatment in the Rumble because she got no offense and basically got killed.
Yeah, she
By the way, people say this is great for intergender wrestling, and I say no. Like, you took your biggest, baddest performer, and you sent her in the Rumble to get obliterated.
Yeah, this, I get why they did it to make a memorable moment. This was a very much hashtag moment. This is the social media moment right there.
And you'll always see that. You'll probably see the gif of fucking Randy Orton, fucking RKO, and Nia Jax forever.
Right, but again, it goes back to what was the end game for this, And to me, unless you're thinking you were to set up a Nia Jax versus blank at WrestleMania, and you wanted to do that
but she showed no, she eliminated Ali, right? Yeah. But she showed no offense. I mean, she looked like she really got to the guys here.
Right.
That's like she beat the shit out of, like, when China came in, she had offense. You know what I mean? Because this is the first time that when Beth Phoenix came into the Rumble, she had offense, but she didn't necessarily get an offense in terms of, like, she ate finishers and got eliminated.
Right.
And with R-Truth, she beat up R-Truth, but then I guess they made up for it the next night by giving R-Truth the United States Championship.
Yeah, that was. I actually called that. It was funny because when the roommates came down and we were talking about other stuff, and he's like, "Oh, who's that guy?" So I was telling him R-Truth because came out rapping and he's in a music production. So I said, "Here's what's gonna happen." I said, there's rumors that the other guy here is headed to AEW if he leaves, so they're probably going to take the belt off of him, give it to R-Truth as a way of being like, well, we took the belt off you, and blah, blah, our joke comedy wrestler beat you. And sure as shit, he won the title.
Yeah, so that was interesting to say the least. But, I'm happy for Truth. I hope because he's been doing well. I mean, he's with him and Carmella, which that's an awesome duo. I like that. The dance break, that stuff is gold, and he's been around for a long time. He came in as Quick as fucking Road Dogg's tag team partner like a long time ago.
Oh boy,
yeah. So the fallout. I know you watched Raw and SmackDown. What was the fallout from the Rumble in general?
Not a ton. I mean, the big Rumble fallout was Seth came out at first and was like, "I'm going to choose who my opponent's going to be," and I'll wait to the end of the show. And there was a little interesting exchange with Triple H where he got emotional talking about how he was happy for Seth. And it was kind of, Seth got emotional back. An interesting moment. But then they were like, oh, you wait. So they had Daniel Bryan come out with the black guy and talking about, who will face, blah, blah, blah. And then at the end, Seth came out. Well, first Brock came out and was talking about, beating whoever. And Seth came out and started punching him in the face. And then Brock destroyed him. And Brock, really beat the shit out of him for a while. So they're setting up the whole,
They're underdogs.
Yeah, and I think they'll go with that. I think the most interesting thing was Daniel Bryan came out with a trash barrel and threw the WWE title into the trash barrel and presented his own belt that was organic and natural.
I called him out on that 3 weeks ago.
I remember you doing that.
Yeah, remember when I said, oh, that belt's made out of cow leather.
Right, and he talked about the cow being Daisy, and of course the fans were in good form to the night, and they were chanting, "We want Daisy," and others. Some really good chants of the night. They were pretty funny, but it makes you wonder if they're gonna mark this off as one of those locations they can't go to.
Well, you gotta know your crowds. If you're gonna do some kabuki shit, stay out Chicago, New York, Boston. Just stay out of some of these towns.
Yeah.
Philadelphia, if you're gonna do some kabuki shit, understand your audience and where you are.
Right.
That's gonna be.
So I think the big fallout, of course, was the U.S. title change. Miz and Shane still being faces. I just think you can't keep the Usos won the match to challenge for the tag belts at
Elimination Chamber.
Yeah. So that's the only pay-per-view between now and then, right?
There's two.
Oh, there's two.
From what I understand.
Well, I would say, barring, I don't know. We'll see what happens to the Miz stuff, but right now it looks like there. Oh, one thing on Raw that was kind of, no, I'm sorry, not Raw. SmackDown was at the end when Daniel Bryan came out with the whole belt thing. A bunch of wrestlers came out to say, "Oh, I want to be next in line because you're not getting ahead of the guy that won Royal Rumble. I want to be the guy facing you." And Jeff Hardy came out, Samoa Joe came out, Mustafa Ali came out, Randy Orton came out.
Right, they're setting up Elimination Chamber.
Right, so Bryan's like, "I'm not going to face any of you." So of course Triple H is going to face all of them. And it was okay. The best part of it was Samoa Joe coming out and cutting promos.
Oh my God, that's the Samoa Joe I know.
Some fantastic Samoa Joe one-liners there.
Yeah.
So I know we talk about SmackDown being a better product and doesn't get diarrhea like Raw does. But I think that so far it's still only 1 week out. I know I read a thing that the ratings weren't going up, but they've got to realize that until they have a product that really is must-watch TV, to borrow Miz's statement, and I think maybe they're going with the idea that Shane's going to lose his mind with the title, and if they
need a big overhaul. Like, they need to blow everything up. Like, everything from the roster to production to the way the show looks. The show looks exactly the same as it did in 1998.
I would do another draft, and I would really shake things up.
Yeah.
I'd break up New Day or something like visually you're going to see it and be like, this isn't what it was before.
Right. I would do something fucking completely major, just like they need something. And again, with SmackDown going to that Fox, they're going to fucking network television. They better fucking have everything ready to fucking go.
Yeah. I do think. My theory is that if they're going to SmackDown and they have Shane as the heel McMahon figure, because I do think eventually Vince is going to leave, either if it's a matter of being...
On account, he's fucking healthy as a fucking horse.
Well, I do think the XPL might take his attention, so that's my go-to, what's going to happen.
XFL.
I'm sorry, XFL. What is XPL?
But yeah, I mean, at this point, that's probably the right direction for them. I would just say, I don't like any of the formats. I think they need to have a WWE primetime show. Like, remember primetime back in the day with Gorilla and Bobby? And they would sit there and they would talk about what's going on and the WWF, and they would show matches, what would be house show matches or whatever. But if you watch that show back, and you begin to understand how important that show was to build a lot of the angles. So I think they should do a network show, weekly network show, just like primetime. Have two people talking about what's going on. It could be Corey Graves and Michael Cole. Corey Graves and Todd Phillips. Whoever. It doesn't fucking matter.
Yep.
You could have Corey Graves and a guest. It'd be Kevin Owens. And they talk about what's going on in the current WWE, and they watch a couple of matches that are unseen. It would be dark show matches and matches from the house show. I'd rather watch that show than Raw or SmackDown. Because then I understand what's going on. You get replays, and then you get a couple cool matches. I think that's easier to consume.
Yeah.
But when you do something like Rumble, which is 7 hours, then you have to watch Raw for another 3 hours, and then you have to watch SmackDown for another 2 hours. Fuck that shit. Like, our good friend Brad was completely burnt out on wrestling. He didn't want to hear nothing about no wrestling. He was like, fuck this.
Yeah.
It's just as long as WrestleMania weekend's going to be like that, too. That's what happened last time I went to WrestleMania, man. Like, I didn't want to hear nothing about nothing. I was going to throw up. If I saw it took me like 2 weeks to watch a wrestling match because I watched so many shows.
Man.
It was crazy. It's crazy. One thing before I want to go here for the day, and I want to talk a little bit old school wrestling. And Matt, I want to just quickly go over, what are your thoughts on the concept and the overall effect on the industry that the show Saturday Night's Main Event had? Like, when that show debuted, that show was on network television, NBC, right? It was on 11:30. It preempted fucking Saturday Night Live, which was that show had various quality, and I think '85 was like a bad year too when they started. It still had the largest rating they ever had with the Hogan Andre match with the twin referees. What do you think the overall impact in terms of getting the WWE in terms of pop culture lexicon?
Oh, it was huge, and I always liked Saturday Night's Main Event.
Who didn't? That show was fucking fantastic.
Yeah, it was a great little escape. It was fun.
They should have that now. I know I'm going back to throwback. Because Saturday's Main Event was essentially 3 matches, right? There's the format is 3 matches, and they're main event matches. So you would see something like, it would be Honky Tonk Man and Jake Roberts and Macho Man versus One Man Gang and Hulk Hogan versus Terry Funk. And that's the show. It's an hour long. You do like 1 or 2 angles on it real quick. And that was it. And that show did tremendous ratings for them back in the day. And they did it from 85 to 91. They did it for 6 years.
Yeah.
But I think when it comes to Saturday's main event, I think that's the moment where I think they stopped being pro wrestling and started being sports entertainment. Yeah, that's when Dick Ebersol got involved. That's when the production values skyrocketed. Like, watch the first Saturday's main event, and then watch like one from '88. You can see the production quality just, oh my god, ridiculous. And Dick Ebersol was a big proponent of professional wrestling in terms of NBC, and it was very important for him. To preempt Saturday Night Live, it's big. It's some of the best moments were on that show. They do DVDs and retrospectives of that particular show, and there's nothing comparable to that anymore. And I think it hurts the product overall. Like, you're missing your primetime wrestlings and your Saturday's main events and your Clash Champions, and having this like weekly Raw and SmackDown, go through that 5-hour grind of wrestling on Monday and Tuesday. It's like, oh my god, I'm gonna blow my brains out. But Jesse, when I had Jesse and Vince on there, and it was fantastic. Like, some of my favorite angles, obviously the Andre angle with the twin referees. Like, that's fucking amazing. Like the Roddy Piper and Uncle Elmer's wedding. Like, oh my god, that was one of the most memorable moments in terms of wrestling history. And you had so many. Remember the Hogan Orndorff cage match when they came down at the same time? You had the Hogan Bossman cage match, which is fucking amazing. You had Birth of the Mega Powers, and when Honky Tonk Man hit Macho Man with the fucking guitar.
Yep.
He shoved Elizabeth down. Like, there's so many. Elizabeth. There's so many memorable moments there. Like when they had the Halloween party, and he had the Iron Sheik. He dressed as Batman. It's such great moments. I didn't need more of that. I mean, you have a network and unique content, but the content that they produce is fucking weak. Like, all their original content. Like, I like Ride Along. Like, I think it depends who's on it, though.
Yeah.
And if there's someone who's not interesting, I don't like it. But they did like a Botchamania type show that only had one episode. They had the Edge and Christian show, which is, it's funny, but it's not what I really want to see. And that's basically it. I mean, in terms of original content, where they need these, you have these trademarks and you have these legacy names. Like, use them. Like, I know you're using Starrcade. And I know we got like the first year we got no matches. The second year we got like 3 matches. You know what I mean? Like, use that. Use that. Like, can we tape MSG shows? Can we tape some of these shows? They recently had a Hidden Gems just got uploaded, and you see like dark matches with like Conan as Max Moon, which is awesome. And they see Razor Ramon's like first match, and he's wearing long tights, and this is stuff that's never been aired. And for those TV tapings back in the day, they always had dark main events, and I'm assuming they taped everything. So I don't know why they should really put those out more. So just get in the vault, get some better original content, get in the vault. So. That's that. All right, guys, so we are officially out of time. So for Matt Riley, I'm Alex G. Have a good night.